don't know if that makes a difference. Whatever.
Nope, you can just watch the presentation and it should just come up right on your screen.
Oh, start the video.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
me.
There you
Okay.
go.
Here she is.
All right. I'm here.
Wonderful. Okay, so let's get started because I know that I want to respect everyone's time. And it's 3:31. So if people keep popping in, then I'll just admit them to the presentation. But first, we're going to go over a couple things right off the bat. So my name is Taylor. I am the property manager for the Elmwood. And I'm here today with Lisa Dunn and Jill Freeman. And they will be our presenters to talk about downsizing and selling. But first, what I want to do is I want to introduce me and what I do and where I work. So I am, like I said, the property manager for the Elmwood. The Elmwood is a brand new 55 plus independent active living community in St. Louis Park. So it's apartment buildings or apartments, excuse me, and they will be fully independent. So, you know, if you're an active person who wants to downsize, hence the presentation, or, you know, kind of move into something that's maintenance free, worry free. We were just talking about the weather in Minnesota. Winter is coming. We want to avoid the shoveling of the snow and all of that. That's kind of what we're here for. We want you to continue to live your life, but leave the hassle and the worry and the maintenance to us. So that being said, our building is set to open in November. November 1st is our projected move-in dates. I'm currently taking reservations for those apartments as well. So if you're interested in, you know, learning more about what we have, we can connect later. You should all have my email because I did send out the link to everyone, or my number as well. I have a model apartment ready to go to tour. So if you want to come see it, let me know and we can get something set up. So again, we're in St. Louis Park, convenient location right by Highway 100. And it's going to be beautiful. So I'm really excited to get that up and running. So, okay, a couple things that's about me, a couple housekeeping things for this presentation. We're starting obviously at 3:30. Our end time is 5 o'clock. Each presenter will plan to speak for about half an hour each. And they are also leaving time for a Q&A at the end of their portion. So if you have questions, please jot those down, make a note, and then at the end, the presenter will have time to answer those questions for you. So make sure, again, to jot those down and they will designate time for Q&A. Second thing, if you get disconnected during this call, I know technical difficulties can be an issue sometimes. Feel free to email me, and I have my email pulled up over here, so I will get those out. My email is, if you have a pen, it's Elmwood, ELMWOOD at apps, APTS, by mainstreet.com. So again, that's Elmwood at appsbymainstreet.com. And again, so with that email too, if you did not RSVP with me prior to this, I know I sent out the link and it's on Facebook and stuff. If you did not RSVP prior, please send me an email with your first and last name as well, because we are having that grand prize giveaway at the end for a $100 Visa gift card. Yeah, to one lucky attendee who attends the whole session. So I do have a lot of people who I spoke to previously and sent the link to. You are good to go, but if you did not RSVP with me, please send me an email so that I have your information so you can be entered. Again, that's Elmwood at apps, APTS, by mainstreet.com. And I think that's it. I want to respect everyone's time. That's about my 5 minutes. So let's get started. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass over the baton to Lisa Dunn, who works for RE/MAX. And she is the guru in the housing market, especially right now. We're all kind of wondering what's going on. So Lisa is going to tell us more about that. So take it away.
I'm so excited to be here. I will do my best to make your next 30 minutes as entertaining as I can, even though you're looking at a very flat screen. We were just talking about that today. How do we make webinars more interesting and short of tap dancing, which we might actually try. My name is Lisa Dunn. I am a senior real estate specialist. I've been licensed as a real estate agent since 2003. So that means I've seen really good real estate markets to sell your house and really challenging real estate markets to sell your house. And the purpose of today is to really empower you to make sure that you are ready when you feel like it is ready. So I'm going to share my screen with you and show you my PowerPoint. There we go. Hopefully you can see that okay. So this is just our logo. My broker is Remax Results, and the name of my real estate team, there's 5 of us on our team, all licensed real estate agents. And the name of our team is Change Agents. You'll see the AGE is capitalized primarily because our specialty is helping folks downsize. I'd be willing to bet that most of you have been in your home at least 15 years, and some of you maybe even up to 50 years. We usually, when we have done in-person seminars, we have asked people to share how long they've been in their home. And the biggest number that I've ever had at one of my seminars is 96 years. He inherited the home from his parents and had lived there all his life, was 96 years old and was finally getting ready to sell. So, overwhelmed. This is the #1 thing that I hear from our clients the very first time we get together and sit down at a dining room table. It's the very first thing I hear about. How are you feeling about moving? I'm so overwhelmed. And fear. Fear of the unknown, fear of whether or not your home will sell, fear of managing all of the logistics, and if you haven't figured it out yet, fear of where am I going to go next? So all of that feeling overwhelmed and feeling stuck or feeling fearful leaves people feeling stuck. And the reasons people get stuck in their homes could be lots of different reasons, but this may have even happened to you or maybe somebody you know. You start talking about getting ready to move, you attend webinars, you start doing planning, and maybe you've even talked with a couple of senior housing buildings like the Elmwood. But then October, November, December come, and in January and February of next year, you've gone through one more winter of shoveling and you're still stuck in your home without any concrete plans of moving. So congratulations to you today for attending the webinar. Our job today is to empower you so that you feel like you've got all of the information that you need and a place to start. Because really that's the most challenging thing when you're feeling overwhelmed, is finding that first place to start. And that, I think, is our job today. I'm going to talk about the house, and then when I finish up, Jill from Gentle Transitions will talk about the stuff and what do you do with all this stuff if you've lived in your home for 50 or more years. So here is my agenda for the next 30 minutes or so. I really want to make sure that you understand what's happening in the Twin Cities real estate market. We hear a lot of kind of vague statistics on the news and things, but I want to maybe fill in some of those gaps. I want to make sure that you know that you've got some options on how to sell your home and the pros and cons of those options. There are 3 steps, and there's really just 3 to getting your home sold. And then some other smart strategies for helping you manage the logistics for moving. I will allow questions at the end of this, so if you think of questions as I go, feel free to jot those down so that you don't forget, and we'll cover those when we're all done. So the recipe for how we get moving and putting together a plan for moving is really pretty simple. I think one of the things that makes our team a little different is we don't usually start by talking about the house. We start by talking about what's important to you. It's really to your advantage to identify where you want to go, how you want to get there, what time of the year you want to move. All of those things really are in your control. So what are your goals around moving? And then if we understand what your goals are, and we marry that with what's happening in the real estate market, we can come up with a customized plan, individual for you, and one that keeps you in control so that you can move on your own terms. So what's happening with the real estate market right now? One of the myths and one of the concerns I have heard from people is, oh my goodness, it's a housing bubble and it's going to burst any minute. And let me tell you why that isn't true. So if you're comparing today with what happened in 2008, when the last housing bubble burst happened, mortgages today are very different than they were in 2008. In 2008, you could go in and tell somebody, I make $500,000 a year and I'd like to buy $1 million home. And they would say, please sign here. We'd love to give you a $500,000 loan. So today, mortgages are different. Underwriting standards are as strict as they've ever been. And all of that questionable trading business that was happening in the secondary market is also not in play today. The other thing that's different is the sheer number of homes on the market. You may have heard this on the news. There's a definite shortage of homes on the market today. And currently, we have about 2 months, you'll see on the slide, 2.1, 2 months of inventory on the market. Let me explain what that means. In a normal, healthy real estate market, there's a healthy tug and pull between the buyer and the seller, and everybody has to give a little bit in negotiations. That's when there's 5 months of inventory on the market. And what that means is if no new homes came on the market, it would take 5 months to sell everything that we had. That's a normal, healthy market. The lower the number is below 5, the stronger a seller's market it is. That means there's fewer amount of houses on the market. Sellers can raise their price because the demand is higher. Hopefully that makes sense. And then in addition, 50% of the people across the country have equity in their homes, whereas in 2008 that wasn't happening because there was so much loose lending happening with the mortgages. So the mortgage industry is not in the same place it was in 2008, and the number of homes are different. We are not in the same place we were in 2008. And this is what's happening with listings. If you look at this graph, January of this year, this shows how the number of listings were going up and up and up, and all of a sudden, the middle of March hit. Our governor said it's time to stay at home because the pandemic has entered Minnesota, and you can see the number of listings dropped way off. What you'll see here is the number of listings has gone up and is continuing to go up. All good news. This slide shows the number of showings per listing. The reason that's important is it tells us how active buyers are in the marketplace. Same thing here, you can see it was way up in the spring. Down here, the stay-at-home order hit and showings plummeted. But look at how sharp this recovery is. We had about a 2-week hiatus when buyers really exited the market because we were all told to stay home. But as soon as that stay-at-home order was lifted, showings continued. The number of showings that we have right now in this market is greater than we had even a year ago today. This is my favorite slide. My favorite slide in regards to statistics anyways. This shows the median sale price across all of the homes in the Twin Cities metro. It's gone up consistently. Today, the median sales price of homes in the metro is $313,000. This is the first time the median sale price has crested the $300,000 mark. So what do all these statistics actually mean for you? This is the new normal. We're 6 months into this. All of the business practices that we've put in place in the last 6 months are new business practices. Nothing that we are doing today really is considered temporary. Everything about how we show homes and how we get ready to list homes, it's really all about new business practices. So the other thing that these statistics mean for you, and what I hear from a lot of folks, is maybe I want to wait for a little longer just to see what happens in the marketplace. Maybe I want to wait 30, 60, or 90 days. I really do not believe it will make that big of a difference for you. And in fact, I'm going to tell you a little bit of secret. I just purchased a house a couple of weeks ago. So if a real estate agent is getting ready to move in this market, it probably means it's a good time to sell. I really believe that we are kind of cresting the very top of what we are going to be able to sell our homes for, which is why I arm wrestled my husband into moving. So it really is a good time to sell. If you decide to wait, let's say you wait until next spring or next summer or next fall, if this pandemic hangs around, which I believe it will, depending on when the vaccine comes out, let's say the vaccine even comes out this fall, how long will it take to vaccinate all of America? A year? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. But if unemployment goes up or if interest rates go up, the real estate market could change, and it could change very quickly, just like you saw in those slides with the dip in March. So if my job is to empower you and to give you information to make the best decision that you can, hopefully information about what's happening in the marketplace now will be very helpful to you. These statistics are probably good for about the next 30 days or so, maybe 60, if nothing else happens. Past that, we would want to revisit these statistics so that I could share them again with you in case they change, because they likely will. Okay. So let's talk about the different ways that you have available to you to sell your home. Have you seen these signs, these yellow signs stuck on the corner that says, "Let us buy your house for cash"? Maybe you have even received a postcard in the mail that says, "I have a buyer for your home." Maybe you have gotten a phone call from somebody that says, "We are just calling to see if you're interested in selling your home." You likely have seen television ads or heard radio ads about guaranteed offers or about, "We will buy your home for cash, we'll keep you in control, we'll close in 2 weeks, we'll make it painless for you." So let me talk about these offers. I met with a client not too long ago. She had a $325,000 home. And when we looked at what it would take to sell her home on the open market versus what she could sell it to one of these cash investors for, it was a $34,000 difference. And that was after paying all of the fees of selling her home. So that's what you will be facing if you look at selling your home with any cash investor, whether that's Zillow, Open Door, any of the guaranteed offers or yellow signs or postcards that show up to your home. Real estate agents are not the only way to sell your home. I'm a little biased, but it's not the only way to sell your home. You can sell it to a cash investor, but I want to talk about the pros and cons just so that you can go in with your eyes wide open. So should you choose to sell with one of these folks that say, "We can buy your home for cash," your home, if you're working directly with that investor, your home is not exposed on the open marketplace to as many buyers as possible. You're only talking with one investor. That puts you at a disadvantage. That investor buys and sells homes for a living. They're very good negotiators. They're very skilled at what they do, and that's who you're going to be negotiating directly with. You're not going to have somebody in your corner of the ring to help you negotiate. So you won't have as much market exposure. You'll be at a disadvantage with negotiating because you're only negotiating with one person. And those are things to be aware of. Versus if you go the more traditional route of hiring a real estate agent, your home is exposed to many people. very likely gets many offers where they have to bid against each other, and you have a professionally trained negotiator in your corner. So these are just things for you to have on your radar when it comes to working if you choose to go with a cash investor. They will claim that it is more convenient. They will claim that they can close quickly. But I want to let you in on a little secret. If you go the traditional real estate route, where your home is exposed to multiple investors, because any real estate agent worth their salt should have a database of investors in the marketplace that they can market your home to. We always want to get you as much money for your home as we can. And so why not expose your home to 12 investors and get 12 offers for your home versus just one? Okay, this is what you've been waiting for, right? The 3 steps to sell your home. First, call a real estate agent. And whether you'd go the cash investment route or the real estate route, calling a real estate agent early doesn't cost you anything. And they can help you strategize. Usually those first meetings with a real estate agent are complimentary, they're no obligation, and they don't cost you anything. So why wouldn't you? These are the things that a real estate agent can help you get ready for. If you're still trying to decide if you should own or if you should rent, trying to determine the sale price of your home, trying to understand, once I have a sale price for my home, how much does it really cost me to sell, and what's my net? What's the check I will end up with in my hands at the end of the day? We can help you prepare your home for the market, trying to decide what things should I do or shouldn't I do? How long will it take my home to sell? Help you avoid a double move. I have not met very many people who would be very excited to move more than once. And also, if you need resources to help either get your home ready or help you figure out how you can afford some of the changes in your home, whatever it is that you're looking for, real estate agents usually have a pretty long list, a pretty deep and wide knowledge of the resources available in the Twin Cities. And I sometimes hear from people, I can't possibly have you over to my home. I have to finish painting and clean my carpet and have the house cleaner over before I have you over. It's just not the case. I'm in 25 to 30 homes a week. And if you think that you've got too much stuff, chances are you don't have anything to worry about. Believe it or not, it's the people that don't think they have a lot of stuff that we usually have to worry about. Okay, so I'm going to ask you to think for a minute. Yes, this is active participation. I'm going to ask you to think for a minute. What are the first 2 questions that people usually ask a real estate agent when they invite a real estate agent into their home for a consultation? And I'll give you a hint. Those questions have to do with money. The first question is generally, what's my house worth? And the second question is, what do you charge? Well, if I answered the question, what do you charge? If I said, I charge 2% commission, is that a good deal? Probably not if I just got my real estate license last week and I've never sold a home. What a real estate agent charges doesn't help you determine if they're a good fit for you or if it's a good value. You really want to start, when you start talking with real estate agents to interview them, you really want to have a good understanding about who they are, if you like them, if you'll be able to work with them, and the value that they will add to you throughout the process. How do they market your home? What's their experience? And probably most importantly, what are you going to do to make my move easier for me? So start with some of those other important interview questions. Then, when you have a good understanding about the value that any given agent would bring to the table for you, then you can ask, what is my home worth and how much do you charge? Because then you'll have an understanding about if what they are charging makes sense given the services that they can do for you. Okay, we're on to step 2 already. So talk with a real estate agent for a consultation is step 1. Step 2, know where you are going. We almost have to reverse engineer this process of getting your home sold and start with the end in mind. By knowing where you're going and knowing when your next unit will be ready, that's how we time the listing and marketing and the strategy for listing and selling and marketing your home. So Taylor said earlier, for example, Elmwood will be open, Taylor, November, beginning of November, November 1. So, and we plan on November 15th, by the way. So, and that's not against, that's usually how new construction goes. And if we plan on November 15th, that gives you a safety net in case for some reason the building is delayed. We do that to protect you from having to move more than once. So if the building opens on November 1st, let's say your move is scheduled to move into Elmwood 2 weeks later on November 14th. We back into the timing of listing your home and how we market your home, whether we will market it before it's on the MLS or only while it's MLS, really depends on what your goals are and how you want your move to go. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a little bit. But know where you are going. Plan ahead, make sure your name is on that wait list and make sure your name is on you've got the deposit down because you want to know when your unit is ready. Thirdly, very simple steps. The third step is preparing your house. Now, we used to in seminars spend a lot of time about how do you choose what to do in your home to get the best return on investment. You heard me talk at the very beginning about how hot the real estate market is and how quickly homes are selling and the high demand for homes. Therefore, I do not need to spend a lot of time to suggest to you the best way to prepare your home for sale, except turn off HGTV. How many of you watch HGTV and are getting tips on decorating and how to get your house ready for the market, how to get your home ready for a dime? This is entertainment. It is not professional real estate advice, and you should not take their advice on how to get your home ready. The National Association of Realtors does a report every year on the top items to do in your home that will provide the best return on your investment. This year, there were two items that you could spend your money on to prepare your home for sale that would return you at least 100% of your money, if not more. Hardwood floors and roofs. So for those of you that have interviewed a real estate agent who told you to change out the countertop and take down the wallpaper and remove the carpet, you're not going to see a return on investment of those items. If you live in a 1950s Rambler and maybe you have a pink bathroom, by the way, those are a hot commodity right now. If you have a pink bathroom and maybe you still have laminate countertops, not granite or quartz, but laminate, and maybe you have carpet in your kitchen, you have to do all of those things or do none of those things. Because if you change the countertop in your kitchen, the buyer for your home, when they come to look at your home, will still see the pink bathroom. So you either complete all of the projects so the buyer knows that they can walk in and enjoy your home brand new, freshly updated, or you don't do any of them. That's the best way to increase your return on your investment. If you have specific questions, when you have a real estate agent out to your home, they can help you with those things. So how do we best prepare your home for the market? If it's broken, fix it. The best way for you to stay in the driver's seat throughout the negotiation process with buyers is for buyers to receive a home that does not have a lot of broken items in it. Leaky faucets, a water heater that may be on its last leg, broken windows, things like that. Broken things in the home should be fixed. If you have the luxury to move into your new apartment, say at Elmwood, first, I highly recommend it, because then it means that you don't have to be in the home for showings. You can be started and relaxed and enjoying your new home, and then you let your real estate agent worry about the details of getting your home sold. You won't have to leave for showings at an hour at a time every time there's a showing on your home. So if you have the luxury to move first, do that. If you think you'd like to move first, but you're concerned about how the finances of that might work, talk to us. We'll likely have some suggestions about some options that you may not have thought of. After you move, during your move, you're going to take everything that you love with you, and Jill's going to talk more about that. Then leave everything else in the house that you're not taking with you, and either Dental Transitions or I can help you get the rest of those things out of the house. But your first focus is really focusing on the things that you love that you're going to bring with you. Secondly, we clean the house. When we hire cleaners to clean your home, they clean the windowsills, they vacuum and polish the floor behind the furnace, and you could have dinner off of your water heater. That's how clean your home should be when it goes on the market. Then we list your home for sale. You'll see that nowhere on here have I suggested that you stage your home, that you rent furniture to have brought into your home. Because of the state of the world today, and the fact that you're downsizing after living in your home for a number of years, the best way to sell your home is fix anything that's broken, clean it, and empty it. 90% of the homes that I sell are vacant. Now, if you decide to stay in your home during showings, I just want to talk for a minute about safety, because for you, if you haven't sold a home recently, this might be new information. For real estate agents, we've been doing this for a good 6 months now. So the way that buyers now look at homes, and this is important if you're living in your home, you want to make sure that things stay as clean and safe as possible. We ask buyers when they're in your home to keep their hands in their pockets. We ask you to turn on all the lights, open all the doors, so that there's very little that needs to be touched while they're in your home. We ask the real estate agent, I'm sorry, I'm going to sneeze. We ask the real estate agent to be the only one to touch anything in your home and ask them to wipe down things as they go. We provide hand sanitizer bottles to you, so they're available at the front of the door. We provide shoe coverings so that you don't have anybody with shoes or bare feet walking through your home. We ask them to cover their shoes. There's a couple other things we do in regards to marketing. These digital virtual tours that we do now, these are magnificent, and this has become part of the new normal. When a buyer looks at your home online, you might be able to see my mouse here. They could click on this door in the picture, and the video actually shoots them out the back door, so that what they're looking at now is your backyard. So it's an actual, they can click and understand the floor plan. And then this is why staging is not necessary. With our listings, what we do, you'll see on the left-hand side, there's no furniture there. But on the right-hand side, this is how this home showed up on the multiple listing service. We put furniture in there, and we did it all digitally because our client moved out first. So this is absolutely an option to you, and it's become kind of standard operating procedure for many real estate agents. Make sure your agent can do this for you if you're interviewing and looking to hire someone. And here is my contact information. Because you attended the webinar today, you have an open invitation to call anytime with questions. Hey, Lisa, I was thinking about this. What do you think about this? I have a question. How does this work? Feel free to call and ask questions anytime about anything. No cost, no obligation, no hard sales pitch, I promise. So with that, I don't know, Taylor, if you have seen any questions come through, or if anybody would like to ask a question before we turn the floor over to our Gentle Transitions, the Stuff expert.
Yeah, I have not seen any questions in the
Okay.
chat.
Question.
Okay.
I sent it to you. Lisa, I sent it to you.
Oh, you did? Okay. Let me unshare my screen here and let me go down. Here we go. When choosing a real estate agent, isn't it important to choose a real estate agent that is knowledgeable with your kind of house and your specific neighborhood? That's a great question, Linda. So I'm going to give you an example. I've owned a lot of homes in my day, and I've lived in Minneapolis, St. Paul, and multiple suburbs. There is not real estate agents worth their salt. No matter, and most real estate agents you'll find are pretty local. Most of us have been born and raised in Minnesota. Most real estate agents worth their salt have a plethora of information available to them, from walking scores of your home, which means how walkable is your neighborhood, how far do I have to walk to get coffee, to groceries, to school districts, to the best places to eat, to the amount of information and the amount of statistical market data available is endless. What I can tell you is I can only use myself as an example because I can't speak for other real estate agents. I can sell a house in Cambridge, Minnesota, just as well as I can in Prior Lake. I understand, because I've been doing this for 17 years, I also know which cities require municipal inspections and which don't, and what they look for. I know the best inspectors. So I would tell you that for the most part, most real estate agents have the ability to cross over from one city to another because most of us do on a regular basis, to be honest with you. When you say the style of home, you say knowledgeable with your kind of house, and unless it's a really unusual house, there's probably not a specific type of house that most real estate agents would not be able to work with. So whether you're in a 1920s home, a Victoria era home, a 1.5 story in Minneapolis, or a 2-story in Plymouth, most real estate agents would be able to both list and work with a buyer to purchase your home. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
For others, if they have questions, you can certainly unmute your lines and ask them versus typing them in.
Okay, so with that, I feel like I should pass the baton over to Jill.
I'll take it.
Jill has a very exciting topic.
Excellent. There we go. All right. Yeah, a little bit of. Can you see me now?
We can see you. Are you sharing your screen?
Not quite yet.
There it is.
Oh, yeah, I am. I don't want to do this quite yet, so I'm going to bring me up. Oh, interesting. Should be.
We had your screen for a minute and then it went back to all the
Yeah.
faces.
Well, I'll try it again here.
Yep, try again.
There we go.
There you go.
Excellent. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm excited to be here as well. I always learn something whenever I listen to Lisa speak. And as she said, I'm with Gentle Transitions. I've been with Gentle Transitions for 4 years, but I've been downsizing for over 40. I'm that kid who people used to call in the family to come and help them go through closets. And Gentle Transitions is the perfect place for me, since what we do is move thousands and thousands of seniors over the years. We move about 1,000 people a year, and the one thing they all have in common is that they have to downsize. So I'm going to share our tips with you and kind of bring you through the process of going through your homes. Now, most people have lived in their homes for at least 10 years. Maybe you've lived in your home for 3 years, but chances are you moved from one place to the other and you brought a lot of the things with you. So we're going to talk about that as well. The first thing I like to do is start with my favorite cartoon, because a lot of people think they are the only ones that are downsizing, and they're not. If you're thinking of moving, you probably need to downsize. So I'm going to start with my favorite cartoon. It's the Zitz cartoon from the Star Tribune. And it's Jeremy and his mom. Jeremy's 24, just graduated from college, and he's helping his mom put things in the attic. Here you go, Mom. Thanks, Jeremy. What is all this junk? Mostly things we're saving for you. These boxes are your elementary school papers and art projects. That trunk is where I store your middle and high school memorabilia. Now everybody's thinking about their own storerooms. And we thought you'd want all this old furniture plus grandma's china cabinet and knickknacks for your first apartment. Notice the box of doilies and teapots. Mom, my first apartment will be a backpack that I carry around the world between gigs. And she looks at her son and she goes down to her husband and she says, our attic has been living a lie. Most of us are saving things. A lot of us are saving probably more things than we need. A lot of people tell me, well, I don't have a lot of stuff. And when I say, does it bother you? They say, well, I don't think so. Well, let me tell you a little quick story about my adopted grandma, Norma. And when we started downsizing her apartment that she'd lived in for 30 years, I said, where should we start? And we were standing in the hallway with the linen closet. And I said, how about here? And she looked horrified and she said, don't open that door. And I knew I had to open that door. And inside we found 35 towels. We found Christmas presents that she didn't even know she had. And I looked at her and I said, does this bother you? And she said, no, I just walk really fast down the hallway. And I thought, it is bothering you. So we downsized. We went down to 4 towels because she does laundry once a week. We made it exactly as she would use it every day. And when I came back the next time, I said, Norma, how are you feeling about the closet? And she looked at me and she said, you know, I haven't even thought about it. So we all have those places we could probably come up with in a matter of minutes that we don't want to go or we don't want anybody else to see. So that is the reason why I come out. And I talk to people and I tell them about why it's so hard. Why do I come out? Well, moving and downsizing is a number 10 on the psychological stress scale. That's only behind death and divorce. So if you're feeling stressed and your palms get sweaty when you walk up to a storeroom or a closet, you're not alone. So I come out to tell people that there's help out there to get you going or to do the entire move for you. So Gentle Transitions, what we do is help people with one move manager. They'll help you with the floor plan. They'll help you figure out where things need to go. They'll take away the things you don't need. And then we'll move you and put everything in your apartment exactly where you want it. And then you're ready to go. So the thousands of people that we move gives us a lot of experience. And we want to share that experience with you. So we're wise enough to know that most people have family move them. But you're going to be doing the same things that we do at Gentle Transitions. So I'm going to talk about our process because our process is going to be your process if you should move yourself. We always do a complimentary assessment. That means it does not cost you a cent to have somebody come out and look around your home, give you some suggestions on maybe you should downsize some areas, because that's less expensive when the time comes to move. Then they'll leave you with an estimate and an estimate for the truck. So you can decide if you want to tailor make your move, which means just use pieces of it, or you want us to do the entire thing. Then we're going to do the sorting and the packing, the unpacking, the moving, and the resettling. And we'll talk about all of that. So why is downsizing and moving difficult for older adults? And I say that because we'll also help people that have kids, but we specialize in seniors because of the difficulty they find with leaving a home of many years. As Lisa said, some people live in their home for decades. And they not only want to keep a lot of the things that they have, they don't know how to separate from them. We also have physical challenges. Sometimes it's our backs and our knees. We can't lift things like we used to. So we need some help. The emotional piece, which I think as a downsizer, when I work with my clients one-on-one in front of a closet, that is the hardest. It's the emotional attachment we have to things, and everybody's emotionally attached in different ways. Children aren't always available. So gone are the days when our kids lived next door. Now they live across town in a different state or in a different country. I worked with a wonderful woman who said, my daughter lives in Colorado. She told me she's coming in for the weekend and we're going to get it all done. You can't get your house entirely downsized in a weekend. That's too hard. Kids should never say that to their parents. And if they say that, then tell them to come maybe next year. So we'll move on. I like to bring up this book. This book is called Downsizing the Family Home, What to Save, What to Let Go by Marnie Jameson. When I go out and do speaking engagements, and people always ask me, do you have books you recommend? And there are several good ones out there. I like this one because I've had wonderful feedback from people that have said it really helped them go through their things and make decisions. And Marnie Jameson, I came away from her book with 7 really good tips, because I find that I experience most of these things with everybody I downsize. The first one is to remember that they're just things. Chances of having something of incredible value, and I'm talking antique roadshow value, $1 million value, is pretty rare. Most of us have family heirlooms and things that have been passed down. Another little story is I had a terrific client who every time she moved, and she moved a lot, she had to bring this button that was under glass because it was family oral history that this button came from George Washington's coat. Now she didn't really believe it, but she had to move this button everywhere she went. And we did a little research and we found that it was not from George Washington's coat. She could hardly wait to get rid of that button. That was much easier. So if you have something that you think is of value, now is the time to find out. If you don't have provenance, and we'll talk about that, chances are it might be family folklore. Number 2, age does not confer value. I can't tell you how many times someone tells me, Jill, I have a lot of antiques. And antiques are wonderful. That means that they are 100 years old. But it doesn't mean they're valuable unless they are rare and desirable. That means they have market value and people want to pay for that. So it doesn't necessarily mean if you have a lot of antiques that you have a real nest egg. So you want to find out what things are worth, and that means getting an appraisal, or it means going on eBay and finding out what things are selling for. That's a real eye-opener, and that can be very, very helpful. Number 3, worth is a worthless term. I say this because what is worth something to one person isn't often worth the same things to someone else. That's when you have a lot of your kids saying, just get rid of it, just throw it away. This is between collections and collectibles. I collect flying pigs. I love flying pigs. My kids have already said they don't want the pigs. They're worth about 10 cents a piece, but our collections are things that we love to have around us. They make us happy. We like the thrill of the hunt. We like to collect lots of them, but it doesn't mean that somebody is going to want that entire collection when you're ready to move. There are certain things that you can do with your collections. You can take pictures of your collections. I had a wonderful person a family that collected birdhouses. They had 40 birdhouses. They had one in particular they were going to take with them. And what we did was took pictures of each one of the birdhouses, and then we made a little shutterfly book that you can do online. We wrote a little paragraph about each, and when it came in the mail, she showed it to me. It was a very thin book, and she said, "I'm taking our birdhouses." So there's a lot of ways you can take the collections with you or pieces of them by doing things like pictures. Number 4 is wholesale versus retail. You won't get back what you paid for something. Most things don't increase in value. Now, this is hard sometimes when people are attached to their tools, things that are in the garage that you've used over the years that maybe are gathering dust now because you don't use them as much. They're not going to increase in value. So it's good to really be realistic about selling something or donating it. Number 5, condition matters for value and donation. A good rule of thumb is to say, if you wouldn't give it to your children, don't give it to donation. Because often it's places that are reselling it to get money to support a cause. So you want to make sure that they're in good condition. If you have china that's chipped, that brings the condition down. If you have a vase that could be Tiffany's, but it is chipped, that value is going to go down. So just keep that in mind. Number 6, here we go with the Washington's button. Family history without provenance or certification may be wrong. So if you're holding on to something because family has told you that it is this, it is that, it is worth a lot, find out, do your research if you don't already have certification that it is. Because it may not be a real Renoir, it might be a reproduction, and it might not be worth what you're hoping it will be worth. Number 7, remember your goal. Your goal is, if you're not moving, to open up your space, to live in your place safely and happily and be able to move around and not in the back of your mind think, I have to do it down the line. I'll have to downsize. To make your own decisions. If I leave you with anything today, it's 2 things. It is start early. It is start small. If you start early, the decisions you make will be yours. If you wait and you get into a crisis and you have to move, those decisions get taken away from you. Start small because you could start in a junk drawer. How many of us clean up our junk drawer and just stare at it for the longest time when it's all clean? That's exciting. If you get a whole linen closet clean, that's exciting. So bring out the things you want to have pride of place, and then think about doing something else with the things that you don't need to have out anymore. It also, when you downsize, makes transitions easier and less expensive. So now we're going to talk about that emotional piece. The emotional piece is what often keeps people from donating something or passing it on to family. So these are obstructions to coping. In the center is fears and pressures. People are afraid that they have too much stuff, that they're maybe the only people that have too much stuff, and they're being pressured by friends and family to get rid of it, to downsize. Well, one of the reasons we hold on to things is memories. We hold on to things because we think if we let it go, we're going to lose that memory. And that is when pictures come in handy, is to take a picture of an item and then pass it on. It's hard to get rid of those things because we want people to think that we loved what they gave us. And we'll talk about gifts. The second thing is perceived value. Maybe you're holding on to something because you think it's going to be your nest egg. And when you find out from an appraiser that it isn't worth that value, it might be easier to let it go. The third one, which I find in Minnesota is often really tricky, is gifts. People give us gifts and we put them out. Well, we only put them out usually when they visit, unless you put them up all year round. But we don't have a heart to give away things that people have given us. Now is the time. When you start downsizing, I give you permission to tell people that if they ask, where's that so-and-so I gave you, which they should never do, just tell them, I loved it when I had it. And when I started doing something else and designing differently, I gave it to somebody else that loves it. The next thing is really tough, is personal identity. People want to hold on to things because they want people to know about their accomplishments. They want them to know what they did in their life. They want to pass it on to grandkids, and they want them to know what they were like when they were young. Maybe you have pictures of high school sports, like my husband does, 3 bins worth down in our storeroom. Those are hard to get rid of. Personal identity is what we want to hold on to, but we never really show people those items. My same adopted grandma, Norma, and her sister told me they were incredible secretaries in the 1940s. So when we moved them to a senior community, we had to bring 5 huge boxes of office supplies because they wanted people to know. So I said, all right, we're moving those 5 boxes. I'm going to wait 2 weeks and we're going to start going through them. After 2 weeks, I brought the first box up, opened it up. Norma looked in the box and she said, why did we bring all that stuff? Well, you wanted people to know that you were a wonderful secretary. And she looked at me and she said, everybody knows that. We already told everybody. So we share those stories. Now is the time to get out those photo albums, sit down with the grandkids and share those stories. The next one is legacy items. We not only have our sterling silver or our silver plated flatware in the chests, we might have our parents, our grandparents, and our husband's parents and our husband's grandparents. And some people have 5 sets of sterling silver flatware. And we looked at them at one time and we said, we will take good care of them. We will be good stewards. We will hold on to these items and we will pass them down when the time is right. Well, the time is right. We're starting to downsize. And the kids are saying, no, thank you. No, we don't want that. We don't want that dining room set. We don't want silver we have to polish. So my advice is, if your kids say they don't want it, believe them. Then you can make other decisions on what to do with things. Listen here, mister, there is no such thing as too much Tupperware. All right, I'm going to stop sharing for a moment. Oh, now we lost me. Now we'll try it again. Not sure why mine keeps doing that.
There we go.
But I will show you, I will hold it up very, very close because you might have one of these. This is a Cool Whip container. This is something we get when we go to the salad bar. This is something that we get when we go and get takeaway. These are not Tupperware. These are the wonderful things that you can recycle. If you have Tupperware, those are wonderful things to give. Tupperware Rubbermaid to a thrift store because that's what people want. Normally when I downsize with someone, we go with 10 different pieces. They all have tops, they're all different sizes, they're all different shapes. You do not want to pay to move Tupperware. There is always more Tupperware out there. And that's a wonderful thing to go home and downsize, because then you can only have the things that you use. If you're like me, I'm a cooker for the holidays, and I like to give leftovers to all my nieces and nephews and my kids. Well, I used to save these things, and I used to say, well, I'll fill it up with the leftovers and give them to my kids and nieces and nephews. Now I tell them, bring your own. And they bring their own baggies and their own Tupperware. I fill them up and they take them home. So don't feel like you have to do that anymore. So now we're going to start the sorting process. Before you make final decisions, when I walk into somebody's home, we evaluate our new lifestyle. That doesn't mean that if you're moving, you're going to have a different lifestyle. If you choose to downsize, open up your space, you're going to have a different lifestyle. So it's a good idea to start going through different questions, because that starts putting a dialogue in your head. And then when you've answered what new lifestyle you want to have, and you start going through a closet or cupboard, you've already put that dialogue in your head. And you can say, oh, I really like this platter. Oh, but I'm not doing Thanksgiving anymore. Maybe I can give it to the person in the family that has taken that on. So start with a few of these questions. Will you be doing your own cleaning? Well, a lot of people have more than one bathroom. We have a lot of cleaning supplies. Sometimes we use a cleaning supply, and if it doesn't work, we don't get rid of it. We just put it farther and farther under the sink or under the cabinet. Maybe you can go down to one bucket and carry it around with you and get rid of all the things that you don't use anymore. Will you be cooking, and has it changed? Maybe you don't cook for an entire family anymore. Maybe it's just yourself or yourself and a spouse. And that has really changed. And you're not using the type of cookware that you used to. So think about, how am I cooking now? Has that changed? And can I get rid of some of the things I used to use? Will you be entertaining? And how will you be entertaining? Maybe you're moving to the Elmwood and you're going to have a wonderful apartment, and you're still going to have Bible study, book club, poker night. What kinds of things do you need for that? People are entertaining a lot more casually now. They're not getting out the china. They're doing paper plates or everyday dishes. So think about, will you be entertaining, and how will you be entertaining? Do you need all your seasonal holiday decorations? As Lisa said, when we do it in front of a group, I usually ask people to raise their hands if they have one bin of holiday decorations. I had a wonderful woman that raised her hand and said, one for each holiday? No, one bin. If you are one of those people that love your seasonal holiday decorations and you want to downsize, during that holiday, start taking those things out that mean the most to you. Give them pride of place, and then start giving away the other things that you don't put out. That's a great way to go through holiday decorations. If you want to give them to a thrift store, think about a few months in advance. Even now, they'll be starting to take Christmas decorations and Halloween decorations. Sometimes they get full. So if you go to Goodwill and they say, we're not taking any more holiday, make sure you check somewhere else, because there might be another store that is taking them. Will you be doing your own maintenance? Maybe you have a lot of tools, but if you're moving into an apartment, you can go down to one toolbox with just a few things in it. So we do a complimentary assessment, which is for us coming out, again, going through the house. You want to do your own assessment if you're moving yourself. You want to go around your house and see what you can downsize and maybe things that need to be done, like Lisa said. If someone calls us and said, yes, we like your estimate, we want to use you, that one move manager you work with, I always call them the wedding planners of the move, because they help you with all the details. They come out and help you with your floor plan. Your floor plan is your primary reference, because anything that goes into your floor plan needs to have a place. Once you fill up your floor plan, there are things that don't need to go with you. And it's a little bit easier then to get rid of them. Here's 20 bucks. Make sure the plaid chair never gets there. This actually has happened to us. I put this in because when you do your floor plan, you want to take things that are familiar to you. Down the line, there's time to get new furniture, but you want to take the furniture that's in the place you spend most of your time. Let's say it's the den. You want to take that chair that you watch the news in at night next to the table with the lamp that you can turn on without looking. That keeps your transition a lot less stressful. So now you're ready. You have the dialogue in your head. You're ready to start going through closets. I always make a trash bag and I put it in a box so that you have an open box to throw trash in because you'll always find something to throw away. Then we always make boxes or bags. A lot of times I'll use the brown paper bags. Put family members' names on them. Things that as you go through closets, you might find that you want them to look at. Then you line them up on a wall, and when you find something, you put it in their box. Give them about a 2-week deadline to come and look in their box, and then you can take that right in your car to the thrift store. If you have people that live out of state, take a picture, text it, and ask them if they want it. Chances are you'll get a text back in about 5 minutes or less that says, no, thank you. But then you know. And always make a hazardous box, because those are things that you can bring to any hazardous recycling place in your county. Every county has one. At Gentle Transitions, we use 3 different colored dots, usually. Green, yellow, and red. The kind of dots that you use when you're doing a garage sale. We use red dots for things that are not going with you. We use green for things that are going with you. And yellow for things that you're undecided about. So if somebody's moving, the move manager will walk around your house and you'll put green dots on things that they're going to take to your new place. So if you're moving yourself, if you're having family move you and you start packing up your kitchen, you can put green dots on the cupboards that you've already downsized and just tell family members to pack up the things in the cupboards with the green dots. That's a lot easier for them to help you, and then they know you've already downsized in that cupboard. The greens are going to be things that you absolutely want to bring with you. These will be your treasures, things you definitely want in your new apartment. They might be photographs and heirlooms. So make sure that you put green dots on those things so they go to your next location. The yellows are the getting rid of things. That's estate sales, antique appraisals, consignment stores, family. Maybe you're going to give to charitable organizations. I'm just going to touch on each one quickly. Estate sales. Only 5% of the 1,200 people we moved last year had an estate sale. And this is because estate sale people want you to have enough stuff that they value, because they get paid first. So you want to have 2 or 3 people come and give you an estimate. You want to make sure that they let enough people know that you're having a sale. So you want to ask them, do you have a mailing list? Do you do social media? You want to make sure that they are licensed, insured, and that they set up and then help you afterwards with things that don't sell. Charitable organizations. We have a couple that we love at Gentle Transitions: Bridging, the Silver Closet, Salvation Army, ARC. But a lot of my clients, I always ask where you want to donate your items. So we bring them to where people want to donate. You want to ask people, if you want them to come and get the things, do they pick up? Do they charge a fee? What will they accept? And you always want to get a tax slip. Some people sell things on social media, eBay, Craigslist. I find the Nextdoor apps. We use Nextdoor, the neighborhood apps, but there's a lot of them out there that you can put something on your driveway, put it on Nextdoor, say free, and somebody will come and pick it up. The reds are things that you're getting rid of. Maybe you can put a bagster outside on your driveway, those green bags that people have. Some people get dumpsters for things that are recycling, but the bagsters are wonderful to use. When you choose a mover, the movers are chosen by our, if you're working with us, by our move managers. But if you're choosing your own, make sure they're local, residential, they've been in the business for years, that they're bonded, insured, licensed, and ask them if they've moved people to where you're moving to before. Because if you're moving to the Elmwood and they've never moved people there before, they might not know the move-in policy. So you want to make sure they call Taylor and find out the move-in policy, because you want them to know that they can only use one elevator possibly, or how far your apartment is from where they're unloading. So make sure that they know this. At Gentle Transitions, we pack and move in 2 days. The first day is pack day. We can pack a whole house in 4 to 6 hours that's been downsized. The same people that are packing your kitchen are unpacking it the next day. Excuse me. So they're paying close attention to where you like your spices, and they're going to try and recreate that for you in your new place. Unpack and resettle day means that we unpack all the boxes, we make the beds, we put the clothes in the closets, plug in the lamps, set the clocks, get your computer going, and we'll even hang your artwork so that you are all done. At Gentle Transitions, we're known for photographing and replicating. That means that everybody on your pack crew is carrying an iPad or an iPhone. And if you have a china cabinet, we're going to take a picture of every single shelf. And when it gets to the new location and it's been polished and shined, everything's going to be going back the same exact way that you had it. Because we don't want to redesign your home. We want it to be the way that you like it. We also do it for proof of condition. So if you're moving yourself, take pictures of items so that you have proof of condition before it's moved. We even photograph and take pictures of your refrigerator. So make sure you do that if you are a person, as most of us are, that keep things on their fridge. A lot of us have phone numbers, calendars, lists of medications. And the worst thing is when you move and you need to call somebody and you don't have that easily available. So take a picture and put it back the same way. One day, son, all this will be yours. This is what you do not want to be. I'm hoping this is not a storage unit and is their garage. If your garage looks like this, now is the time to start. Because remember I said 2 takeaways. Start with something easy, like your junk drawer or your linen closet or your Tupperware drawer. Start soon. Because the sooner you start, you'll be making those decisions. You don't want those decisions to be taken away from you if you have to move quickly or you have a health crisis. And know that there is always somebody out there to help. Gentle Transitions, Lisa, you know, there's a lot of people, and it's wonderful that you're here today watching our virtual presentations because you have resources. And now is the time to start gathering those resources. I'm going to stop sharing here. And why don't I put it back to Taylor? Did we have any questions?
All right.
Yeah, this is Gary Wilkie.
Yeah.
I have a question for Jill.
Yeah.
What about items like sheet music and, you know, that you've collected for 50 years?
Yeah.
And now I've decided I have a baby grand piano, but I don't know if I'll ever play it again. And I've got 50 years of classical sheet music, and I'm having a heck of a time figuring out what to do with that kind of music. And some of it's really good. I mean, I have duet music with flutes. I have, you know, individual piano music.
Yes. It's interesting you say that because I did this exact same thing with my adopted grandma, Norma, who sang with the seniors at the Edina Senior Center. And she had sang professionally for years and had 5 big boxes of sheet music. And what we did with hers, we asked the Edina Senior Center, some of the senior centers have groups of singers, and that's the kind of music that they like. And they love sheet music. That's a great place to ask. Also asking church choirs. And you can even ask on your, if you have a Nextdoor app, or if you get on the computer, is finding out, putting them in bundles. You can even
Right.
sell them that way if you wanted to.
Well, I mean, even donating, like I've got classical music, and then I've got some contemporary music from like books from the 1940s and things like that, you know, where
Sure.
there are song books and things. So there's different kinds. But it's hard to find resources or places to donate, but those are good ideas. Thank you.
It is hard to find them. And Gary, if you want to, I can do a little research a little more, because I haven't done it for a while as far as sheet music. I'd be happy to help you out with that.
Okay, I'll get in touch with you then. Thank you.
Perfect.
I have a question.
Yeah, Linda.
What are you doing in regards to COVID-19 and packing up houses and that kind of thing? What precautions are you taking?
That's a great question. We have different policies we move people into all the communities around the Twin Cities and surrounding area. Each community, like the Elmwood, any of the communities around, have their own policies that they're following, and they're usually very strict. On that end, when we move somebody in, we follow the policy for each community. And that usually means masks, shields, gloves. We do the same thing when we're packing up somebody's home. That move manager, if you call us and you want that free assessment, some of the move managers are doing that virtually, if people are comfortable with that. They will also come out just on their own, and they'll be masked and have gloves and do the same thing they would in your home. And then the packing crews are usually smaller, because the communities only want a certain amount of people coming in as far as packing. So maybe it would be 2 people on your crew versus 5 or 6. So it's all very individual, and that's something that you can ask the move manager when they get in touch with you, as far as your specific, but we follow really strict measures as far as COVID-19.
Jill, lots of great information. Question about photographs, large quantities of photographs, and what you recommend for people. And second question in reference to finances, tax returns, bank statements, and over the decades, we acquire a lot of different financial paperwork.
Yes, financial paperwork. A downsizer like myself isn't always equipped to decide what certain legal things people need. We have 2 companies that we work with that I'd be happy to give to you that will come out and help people go through paperwork. They know exactly at this time what you need to keep and what you can let go of. Photographs are big. If you have boxes of loose photographs, and you still have family members that might be able to identify some of those pictures, what I tell people is go through with, just take a shoebox and take a bunch of loose pictures with a photo pen, sit down with a garbage and with another, even a shoebox or photo box, start looking at them. If you have something that is landscape, toss it. If you have something that's somebody you don't know, and there is somebody who could identify them, you can keep those. Or if you know who it is and on the back it's not identified, write it on the back. Put all those things back in the shoebox, because our kids, if we give it to them, are going to digitize it anyway. And I say with a shoebox at a time, because people that look at big quantities of pictures, it can be really overwhelming. It can be too much to do at once. So if you do it in small quantities, it's a lot easier. Putting them on digital right now, there's wonderful companies that are doing it. We just did that recently with ours. If you have somebody that maybe you don't have a lot of family members, maybe you're the last of your line and you have lots of photo albums, I've had families do pizza parties where they will have photo pizza parties. They will bring out all the photo albums, all the pictures. They will order pizza and they will all sit around the living room. They will have one person designated for the copier. Should you find a picture that you only have one of and everybody wants, that person will be in charge of copying those. And then you can look over them and have fun. And then if you don't want to keep them, that's the time to get rid of them and really scaling down. And sometimes it's in phases or one album at a time. And if you want that resource, I'd be happy to give it to you.
Thank you.
Sure.
Can I ask Lisa a question, or is it too late?
No, go ahead.
Lisa, if, you know, one of the things you touched upon in your presentation was that, you know, I think people are scared to invite somebody over because they'll be afraid that someone will come in and say, oh boy, you've got to do this, 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 and then you're just paralyzed. So do you have general ways of telling people what, you know, what realistically they should do or shouldn't do?
So is your concern about how the information is delivered?
Well, or some people may be afraid. I mean, I'm not planning to move at this point, but I do know people who are afraid to move because they realize I'm going to probably have to do, you know, $50,000 worth of stuff to get my place sold. And so that way they might be tempted to go to that individual investor you're talking about who says, hey, we'll take it, whatever you want to leave, you can. And, you know, so there's just uncertainty there.
Yeah. So because the lens that I look at preparing homes starts with the person who owns the home and their goals, my advice for folks tends to be different than a lot of other real estate agents. Transparently, that is the truth. 9/10 of my clients are not interested in doing anything to their home because the move, as Jill said, is big. 10 on the psychological stress factor,
Yep.
and their goal is just to stay in one piece from getting from point A to point B. My job is to facilitate their goals. So if their goal is to do some changes to the home in exchange for getting the highest price possible, then that would be my job. But as I said, for most of our clients who have lived in their homes for a long time that are downsizing, most of them are not interested in doing anything. And if I tell them to take advantage of the real estate market, right now, it is an unprecedented time to take advantage of the real estate market and not have to do anything to your home. If you were to sell in 2 years and if it becomes a strong buyer's market, the advice I would give to Mary, if I'm sitting at her kitchen table now, might be very different than the advice I give her in 2 years. So it goes back to what's your goal and what's happening in the real estate market. I really believe, to the very tips of my toes, that changing 1 or 2 things in a home does not increase the amount that you can sell a home for. Therefore, that conversation about what to change in the home today is really pretty limited because
Okay.
you don't need to do much. I'm not exaggerating. Fix it, clean it, put the for sale sign out. Done.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay.
We hand it back to Taylor.
Yeah, does anyone have any final questions? Everyone knows how to unmute if you have one. Okay, so this was recorded, so I'm gonna stop recording it. If you want the recording of this, send me an email and I will get that out to you. Otherwise, it was great. Thank you guys all for attending. I definitely learned a lot and I resonated a lot with what Lisa was saying, having just bought a house and renovated it, and also with Jill. My parents are currently starting to downsize and they are giving me old Happy Meal toys. So that is and that's not a joke. They gave me a bag of Happy Meal toys from Burger King or McDonald's. So it was a great presentation. I learned a lot. So yeah, so it was great. And if you have any questions, if you want to learn more about the Elmwood, are thinking of living maintenance free, want to be in an apartment in a great location, give me a call. My number is 952-999-0023, or just respond to the email. But yeah, it was great to see everyone, and stay warm and stay healthy.
Taylor, are you going to announce the grand prize winner today, or are you sending out an email?
Good call. Yes, I will contact the winner. I have a list of people, and I'm going to randomize it in like a little generator and pick a winner. So I will reach out to the winner for that. And the 5 people who did RSVP first, I believe I let them know at the beginning, but I will reach out to them and make sure that I have the right contact information and all of that to send those $25 gift cards to as well.
Awesome.
Thanks, Rachel.
Thanks very much.
All right. Thanks everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.